How's everybody doing tonight? As you can see there, we've got the wood trick dragon castle model out. And I gotta say, it's really good. You can see, not quite finished even that section there, but the pacing on this puzzle, I would say, is very good. You work in little segments that build into bigger segments that build into bigger segments. As you can see, we've got one huge segment here and one almost as big, but it's not quite done. You can see the difference between the two sides. But basically, as you go through it, you're never going for too long without knowing what you're building. So that's cool. Some puzzles, you'll build a bunch of sections. You don't know what you've built. And they give you they'll have you build like 25 pieces and hook nothing together. You don't know what you're building, and then you hook it all together all at once on the last day or the last hour if you're doing it in one sitting. Whereas this puzzle, by the way, I apologize, my chair is really squeaky today. So this model that we're working on, the pacing's been good. I mean, as you can see, it looks, like a couple of little segments of a castle. And we're only, 265 pieces into 978 pieces. So we're far from done. But, I feel like we made some pretty good progress. We can, tell what we're looking at here. Do I have the right? I'll double check it. I'm going to double check something right now. Going back into the studio just to make sure I got the episode right. Did I? 379 and then 380. Okay, yeah, it's right. So, sorry about that. So, we're going to work on this some more today. I don't know how much more. Let's talk in the chat. You guys can talk to each other in the chat, but I also will respond. I'm not always perfect at looking at the chat box. I got to remember to do that. Because I'm happy to talk about whatever you post. Because if not, if you don't post anything in chat, then I start pulling cards out from this word teasers first. And, it looks like we're, more than halfway through that. When we finish, then we'll, work on the next card deck. So we always got something going on. Now, the scoreboard says we're on page 15. By the way, the scoreboard is a little bit off. Let me see if I can fix that. Let's see here. Oh, that's worse. All right, hold on a second. All right, that's a little better. So, page 15, piece 265. Kind of looks like, yeah, I don't think we finished page 15. I think we started it, but we didn't finish it because, as you can see here, this section that has 209, 210, and what is that? 203 and 247. So there's 4 pieces there, and then those drop into this sort of empty spot. You can see here this empty spot. If you look at this side, it's kind of complete, and if you look at this side, it's not. There's no roof, and there's also clearly some spots that are missing. So I guess that's what we're going to work on right now. So the first piece is, so we need 4 pieces. 247, 203, 209, and 210. That brings us up to 269 pieces. Let's see if we can get to 300 pieces tonight. That would be nice. Is that the last part of page 15? There's not that much going on page 15. Those 4 pieces, and then we're done with page 15. And those pieces look like they come from 2 different pages, 5 and 7. Yeah, 5 and 7. I'm just going to pull out at least 5 and 7, the boards from the box. Let me see. All right. It's always tough to get the first box of the day out. Or, sorry, the first board of the day out of the box because they're like really tight in there. And also you're not sure like which one is which. So I said I need 5 and 7. So I'm going to try to pull out the batch that I think is 5, 6, and 7. So I just pulled 3 boards out of the box. Let's see which ones. These boards are so huge, that's why they're not on the desk. But as you can see, sometimes they fall over. Alright, so let's see here. What number is that? Can't even make it out. Alright. I think that's board 5, board 6, and board 7. Alright, so we got the boards needed. So I think, alright. So 247, that's the one we need from board 7. And then I think the other 3 pieces are on board 5. These boards are like huge. Huge boards. That's why it's like I can't keep them on the table, and they're just generally tricky to work with. Anyway. Trying to find 247. Alright, well, I'm hunting for pieces. Let's read one of those questions, because otherwise you'll just be listening to me trying to find a piece. The first female flight attendants had to be registered nurses. The first female flight attendants had to be registered nurses. True or false? The fact that they're asking the question makes me think it's true. But I suppose it could be something like each flight needed 1 registered nurse and they didn't all need to be. Alright. By the way, I found 209 and 210. 209, 210. Those are 2 of the pieces we need. And then 203 and 247. I'm still thinking about those nurses. Like, did the pilots need to be doctors? I don't know. Why are the flight attendants nurses? Trying to think. I mean, of course I'm going to guess true. But I'm just trying to figure out if I can come up with some logic for that. Like, I would think if the flight attendants needed any skill, it would be either how to fly a plane or how to serve food. But, you know, maybe I'm thinking narrowly here. Like, let's think about cars. The first cars, the Model T Ford, you basically had to be a mechanic to drive it. And the cars before that were completely unreliable. But with the Model T Ford, at least if you were like a mechanic, you can keep it running. And if you were strong enough to do the crank start, it had this like crank. Sort of like the crank that does this music box here. If you remember, this little music box here has a crank. Let me see if I can get that moving so you can see it crank. Wow, that crank goes quickly. Anyway, you had to crank a Model T Ford even quicker to get it to work. So the first drivers of cars needed to be mechanics. So maybe the first pilots of planes needed to be plane mechanics. And then the first flight attendants, maybe they did need to be nurses. Like they did, like maybe they needed some type of dual function. What were the planes like in the beginning? Were they at altitude and like they weren't pressurized properly and people were fainting? I mean, I don't know. Let's try to think like how was an early flight? Because they're talking about the first flight attendants. They're not talking about modern flight attendants. You got to put it in the perspective of the early flight attendants. So I'm just trying to think that through, and I think the answer is going to be that yes, they did need to be nurses, because there could be problems on the flight with the passengers, and they were tending to them. I mean, what else do they do? They help you put your bags away. They give you the instructions. They give you the instructions, like even to the modern times, they give you instructions about the air, those floaty vests that are under your seats, and the air that drops down from above. I don't know if they still mention it, but they used to mention the barf bags. There's usually like a bag in the seat in front of you in the plane that you could barf into, a barf bag. So we're already like identifying 3 medical devices available to all passengers, and that's on the modern plane. So what was it like back then? I mean, I'm just going to say true. I mean, it has to be true. All right, let me put these pieces in. It'll give you a little more time to think, and then we'll look at the answer. So these 3 pieces here, the 209 and the 210. What's the difference between 209 and 210? The 210 has a hunk taken out of it at a higher position than the 209, like for whatever that's worth. It's a little bit like, this is the 210. It's got a chunk taken out of it a little bit higher. I don't really know. I'm just going to keep it in order. I don't think it's a big deal if you mess up the order. So they need to go in this on this castle. The 209 goes over here. The 209 goes over here, and then the 210 goes here, and the little thing we built goes there. Let's put the 209 first. It's kind of like off on its own there, unrelated to anything else. So that was easily done. I probably should have had this camera angle on, because from the other camera angle, my hand was blocking the view. But from this camera angle, you didn't miss much. I just slid it down in there. All right, we'll do the next one from that camera angle. So this next one also just slides in here. And then the third one is going to be a little bit of a catty corner, or whatever you want to call it. Not sure what that phrase even means. Anyway, this piece, it has this 247 attached to it, which, as you can see, there's already 4 of those out there. And if you look, there's 2. I'm not sure if you can see that. Yeah, 1, 2. 1, 2. So that's where that's going. Put that piece in lefty so you can see it. There you go. Over the weekend, I watched a sort of documentary about a lefty, and it was only sort of about him. There's a 4-episode show on Netflix called Swamp Kings. It's about basically Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow's time. There's another, Brandon Spikes, Brandon James, there's a few other people, Khalid Black. Basically, they just interview the people and show clips from the games. It's not really a groundbreaking documentary, but it's fun. So is that it? Did we finish page 15? That seems to have gone pretty easily. But I'm sure that very soon, you see how we have this piece here? We're going to have to put one of those pieces there. And we're probably going to build some structure similar to this. Remember this from yesterday? It could have bounced. I think it's out of it. Okay, there we go. It's back in. So, yeah, it doesn't really stay in. I'm sure once it gets like, you know, other pieces involved, it'll stay in. But as it is now, you turn one and the other one turns two. So you turn one thing and the other thing turns. But it's not really wedged in there good yet. I'm sure it, you know, will be soon enough. So we're probably going to have to do something similar on the other side. I guess we'll find out in page 16. Because page 15 is done. All right, page 16. What are we doing here? It starts off, yep, absolutely. Do you remember what we were just talking about? There it is right there. There's the crank and there's the double. So yeah, same thing we did on the other side we got to do here. So it starts off with a little 4 clockwise moving section, 4-piece section. Have little arrows showing you the directions, the order. So we're going to start right here. 167 and 2 184s. We actually built the exact same thing on the other side. I feel like we could have done it ×2 when we were doing that, but then the pacing would be off. Then it would be like I was complaining about those other puzzles where you build a bunch of stuff and you don't know what you're doing, and then it comes together at the end. So they've consciously chose to keep you involved in this puzzle, and so you're not working like an assembly line. It's not super efficient, but hopefully it's fun. Like, what's the point of this? I mean, if you wanted super efficient, you could just buy the castle already built. You know, it's a hobby. So we're gonna put those pieces together ourselves. All right, so 2 184s and a 167. That brings us to 272. I see 189 here. I see 194. But what we're looking for is 184. It really looks like that 194 piece, but I guess that's a different piece. All right, we might need different boards. Let's see what boards are involved on page 16. There's board 5. We've got that one. There's board 3. We're going to need that in a minute. And board 4. Yep, that's the board we're looking for. The 3 pieces we're looking for on board 4. So let me go grab board 4. Hold on a second. Yep, my chair is loud. I'm supposed to be getting a new one for my birthday in 3 weeks. It probably won't be set up on my birthday, but at least I'll have it, and we'll be a little bit closer to the chair not being so loud. I said board 4, right? For some reason I grabbed board 3. All right, let me grab board 4. All right, here's board 4, and it's got the pieces we're looking for. 167 and 2 184s. Did we look up the answer to that question? The first flight attendants. By the way, it says the first female flight attendants. Does that mean there were previous flight attendants that were male? That makes it seem even more like they were nurses, because I know that you might think that anyone could be a nurse. In fact, my oldest son is a nurse. But he mostly does like lab technician, not lab technician, machine technician, but technically he's a nurse. But the biggest like influx of people to nursing was probably during the war. You might remember that TV show MASH. There were a lot of nurses in that. There were a lot of pilots also came from the military. This piece just fell out. I don't know what that was. All right, so I think that a lot of female nurses were on the scene after the war. So that's even more reason. It's like your airplane pilots are coming from fighter jets, and your nurses are coming from mobile army surgical hospitals. I'm just saying that because the TV show MASH. I'm sure there were a lot of other nurses in the army. Anyway, my answer is true. I think it was true. Let's see what the card says. Let's reread the question. The first female flight attendants had to be registered nurses. True or false? Answer, true. Starting in 1930, U.S. airlines employed stewardesses or air hostesses who had to be registered nurses, unmarried, and fit certain physical characteristics. As women nurses began to volunteer for the armed forces in World War II, the nurse requirement was dropped. They had to be unmarried and fit certain physical... What the hell? What are they talking about? That's crazy. All right, anyway, we've seen this piece before. The double tab goes on the left. The double box goes on the right. These two 184s. The one on the top goes to the first and third holes. The one on the bottom to the second and fourth. And all these arrows kind of line up on both sides. It's going quicker because we already did this in the previous section. We did the exact same thing. All right, so this one goes the opposite way, and it hooks into 2 and 4. But what you really see is these little things. They're all going to line up on like both sections there. There's the big piece and the 2 little pieces, and they all have those kind of little, I don't know, arrowheads or whatever you want to call them. They all line up. There might be a better like construction term for that. I'm not sure. All right. There you go. Following the arrow, the next section involves some wax. Excuse me. In 3 pieces, 178, 179, and 168. That brings us to 275 pieces total. So 175. I see this 169, which I think we're going to need in a minute. I'm going to pop that out and put it aside. I'm not going to count it yet. I just recognize it. I know we're going to need it. So here's 178 and 179. That's a circle and the octagon. Hexagon. Octagon would be 8. Circle is 1, I guess. 1 segment on a circle. It wraps all 360 degrees. What was the other piece? 168. And that's a gear. Oh, all 3 of them were on board 4. All 3 pieces we needed. All right, now these need to be sanded and waxed. So I guess it's time for another trivia card. The first wearable portable clock was designed in 1509. It was called a golden cyclops, a Nuremberg egg, or a tick-tock box. Wow. Well, I mean, what are those other ones? I feel like I want to Google those. What is a Nuremberg egg? What is a golden cyclops? And does that mean tick-tock box is the right answer? So you might thinking like it's a wearable timepiece, isn't it a watch? Well, if you remember from the old movies and cartoons, they would have a watch on like a chain. The guy would be wearing like a vest, and the watch would be like linked to a button at one end, and it would be put in his pocket at the other end, and he would like take it out and tell you the time. So the wearable timepieces were not watches. They were, I don't know, tick-tock boxes. I mean, that's what I'm tempted to pick as the answer. A Nuremberg egg? I mean, why Nuremberg? Did they invent clocks there or something? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Nuremberg is like where they tried the Nazis. Did they also invent clocks in Nuremberg? Anyway, we need to wax these 3 pieces. Nuremberg egg. Well, I don't think it was egg-shaped. I think it was round-shaped because, like, it's a clock. It has to move around in a circle. I think it kind of has to be round. I mean, maybe it could be egg-shaped, but the hand, like, why would it be? It would be round. It's just, like, logical for it to be round. So I'm going to eliminate Nuremberg egg. So now we got either the golden cyclops or the tick-tock box. Tick-tock box, I have heard that expression used, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't previously called a golden cyclops. But, like, who would call anything a golden cyclops? I mean, I guess we're going to find out on the back of the card what it was, but I'm going to go with tick-tock box. I think the other names just don't fit. Before we do that, let's finish this off. So the end with the 2 squares, that's the end that gets the gear. I'm just looking at it because the gear is not, I mean, I thought I sanded it, but there's still something there. That piece won't come out. I'm going to go in with the pliers. What is going on there? There's like a piece that just won't come off. I feel like I'm going to rip the whole thing when I take this off. Like I'm going to splinter the whole thing. The splinter won't come off, and I'm worried that if I grab it with the pliers, then I'm going to ruin other parts of this. Well, I didn't. Nothing's ruined, and I got the splinter off. All right. So this goes on the end with the 2 squares. It goes all the way back to those little arrowhead pieces, if you want to call them that. That's what I'm calling them. So let's get it on. It's like stopping just at the end. Does it mean that those pieces aren't on? Yeah, I squeezed those 167s or whatever those pieces were. I squeezed them on. I don't remember what they were called, but I squeezed them and now it fits on. So at the other end, the hexagon goes first and the circle goes second. See, it's a little like off there. So I like squeezed that down as much as I could to get the other piece. Same thing here. Just like squeeze it tight to get that piece on. So there we go. And then the circle should be easy. It just goes on the edge, on the end. Well, of course, as soon as you predict something's going to be easy, then it's not. All right, so that's done. All right, let's see the answer here. Was the first wearable portable clock designed in 1509. It was called Golden Cyclops, Nuremberg egg, or a tick-tock box. And we're saying tick-tock box. The Nuremberg egg was a small oval portable clock attached to clothing or worn around the neck and was created by clockmaker Peter Heinlein. It only had an hour hand and was not often accurate. All right, so it's a Nuremberg egg. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have called it a Nuremberg egg, but I guess that's what it was called. All right, 170 and 171. Those are the next 2 pieces to add on. They're tiny little pieces. 170 and 171. Let's get those out and put them on. They're going to go, right at the edge here, at those two rectangles, squares, whatever you want to call them. That's where they're going. The main thing is, are they going to come out with splinters or are they going to come out clean? Second one definitely came out with splinters. First one I gotta take a look at. Okay. Yep, first one came out with splinters too. Big nasty ones even. That's not a strong piece of this puzzle, is the splinters. The pacing is nice, the design is nice, the instructions are nice, the boards are thick and heavy. The designs, as you can see, are, really nice. But it's a lot of splinters. I mean, look at my table. It's like covered in splinters. We're 30 minutes in. All right, so 171 and 172. I mean, I think you can define which side is up and which side's down. It doesn't really get a definition until you put a piece in. But basically this like curved part goes at the back and the straight part goes at the front, and whichever one you put in first, the other one goes on the other side. So it's like basically it doesn't have a top and a bottom until you put these pieces in. And even then it really doesn't, because they look the same once they're in. Well, now that they're in, you can't really, I mean, if you look closely, you can tell where this one is attached, but it really doesn't matter. And from the other side, you can't even tell. It's like you got to really look to see which it is. But I guarantee you it doesn't matter. All right, following the arrow. Next, we need to sand and wax and add to this end 2 pieces, 181 and 166. I don't think I counted the previous 2 pieces, 170, 171, so I'm going to add 4 pieces. That brings us to 279. The new pieces are 166 and 181. 166 is right here. I imagine 181 will also be on this, just because 180 and 182 are here. Yeah, there's 181 right there, right next to it. And the pieces are, again, look at that. Look at that. It needs to be sanded. It's like they come out with such splinters. Just get used to it. Just accept that this puzzle is going to involve a lot of sanding. So has anyone bought a wood trick puzzle before? There's only like 8 of them on their website. And I don't know when the first one came off the assembly line. This might be the biggest one that they do. Anyway, I'm happy with it. And I probably would like to try another from them. If you haven't tried Wood Trick yet, give them a chance. I don't know. Puzzle world, the model building world. I know in like video games and sports equipment and some other areas, weightlifting equipment, people, camping gear, anything you can think of. A lot of people will have like a brand and they'll keep going back to that brand. Okay, let's forget about the sports equipment and that other kind of stuff, business machines, because, maybe you do have a reason for being loyal in those areas. But I think in the video games, the comic books, the movies, I don't think you're doing yourself a favor by sticking to only one brand. I think you should, not only should you as a fan see what the other brands are doing, I think the companies themselves should be buying each other's models just to see, what's going on. So 181, I think the bigger one goes on first. Anyway, one of them has dots and one of them doesn't. So let's just zoom in here. We can't see. Impossible to tell. All right. Let me look back at the board. 181 has the dots. I can just tell by looking at the board there's still some 181s there. So 181 is the one with the dots. That goes on first. We got to pinch these pieces so that it goes on. That's a kind of a trick that we learned. Pinching the pieces, you're not going to get them on. You're just going to waste time. Anyway, there you go. That's built. So what's next? That's it for that little 4 quadrant thing. And then we follow this red line and it shows it built over here. But then there's another red line which comes from another, what is this, a 5 quintrant? Well, if 4 were quadrants, then what are 5 quintants? 1, 2, 3. Well, I guess this is 4. It's the same 4. In fact, you could even call this 3. 1, a really wide 3, 2, a really wide 2, and then 3. And in fact, 3 is just a checkpoint. So really this is a 2-step process, but I got to call it at least 3 because you're building on both sides of that piece, that like axle that you sort of build in the first section, and then you build the 2 sides. Okay, technically it's 2, but it feels like 3. All right, so 194, 207, and 208. That's what we're starting with. That brings us to 282 pieces. I remember we were staring at that 194 a little while ago. Here it is, 194. And the 207 and 208, they're on the same sheet. So let's grab those pieces. Oh, I just got a splinter. I wasn't even doing anything. It was just going across the board. All right, well, I'm punching these out. Anyone want to hear a story? This story just came to my mind recently. My son's going to college in days. He's going to be a freshman. He's going away to college. So I was just thinking about my freshman year. And it was late in the year. This was at Marist in Sheehan Hall. I was on the first floor, which was a boys' floor. And the next 2 floors were girls' floors. And like some Friday, Saturday night, something like that. So it was late in the year. So people were like, by that point, everyone like knows each other, and there's like party atmosphere in the dorm. So it's like a Saturday at like 2 a.m. And you can imagine what state the college kids are in at like Saturday at 2 a.m. late in the freshman year. And I'm called out of my room sort of introduced to this girl who lived in the same dorm room. I don't know if she was on the 2nd or 3rd floor, but I know that she was on the basketball team. She was like a scholarship athlete. She was like 6'2". And I don't remember her name, but someone said like, this is whoever, jump up and hit your head on the ceiling. And I just walked back in my room like, what? So even the state that I probably was in at that point, it still didn't sound like, it sounded like a ridiculous request to me, though it wasn't the first time I'd gotten that request. I think I was like, the guy who was my roommate was also a guy, we were on the same track team in high school. We went to the same grammar school. So he knew that I could jump up and hit my head on the ceiling. I don't know how many other people knew, which we'll kind of find out by the end of this story. All right. So this girl's a scholarship athlete, and did I mention she's like 6'2", so she's taller than me, because I'm not 6'2". Anyway, I'm told to jump, hit my head on the ceiling, and I don't. I walk back in the room, and then I'm like called out of my room again, and this time the girl like puts out her hand, introduces herself, and says like, can I see you hit your head on the ceiling? And everyone, the hallway's like packed, and as I said, everyone's like in a state because it's like party mode late in the year, 2 a.m. on a Saturday. So I jump, but I don't take a running start. For whatever reason, I decide, like probably every other time I've done this for my friends, and my roommate, and then for the friends, and I guess it's sort of like going around that this is a talent. So I would like take one step and then jump. So this time I didn't. I just like squat maybe like, I don't know, 10 degrees or 20 degrees or whatever. I just like lower myself maybe like a few inches, and then I spring back up, and I hit my head on the ceiling, and then I go back in the dorm room, and as I'm going back in, it's like, you can imagine, it's almost like nowadays one of those things would happen and someone would make like a cell phone video and post it online, but this was like 1991, and I guess that didn't exist. So, but you could hear the people like cheering and shouting, and, and everyone was like very impressed. Not that it's like an impossible thing to do, but it was something about the situation that it just like, I don't know. I also, it's not only my son's going to college, but I'm watching this video of Swamp Kings today, and it just really had me reminiscing on college. So, and then the next day, not only were people like telling people about it, and I was getting like more requests to do it, but people were talking about that jump in particular, because it actually was a really bad idea to do it, because even though I didn't take a running jump, for whatever reason, I jumped like higher than usual, and like my head hit the ceiling, and my neck like bent sideways, and basically I had the thought that a person could like die doing this. Like if you really jumped up like Michael Jordan, LeBron James onto a ceiling that has no give, I mean, it could literally like kill a person. So, I guess for like one day that was like a legendary thing that I did, but then in the future, if anyone asked me to do it, I suddenly was a lot more cautious, and I didn't want to do. And I think I have to remind my son when he goes to college, like, don't do anything stupid, especially if it's like a party. You might do stupider things than you would normally do, like I have to tell him. I don't know if I'm going to tell him this whole story. I guess if he watches this video, he'll see it. But, yeah, you got to be careful, especially when, you're like let me say a stupid college freshman, because some people, they might be smart college freshmen. I think my youngest son is probably going to be a smart college freshman, but that's not the type that I was. You know what? I think this already was the 206. I'm looking for the 197, and there's two of them here, but they're both already punched out. So, like, do I need to go check? Oh, there's two more 197s. All right, so let me grab one from here. All right, so now we have one side, but we still need to sand it. Yeah, that was fun. Some people are like, should you go to a college? Like, some people will go to a college where the sports team's going to win a national championship, but they'll be like a fan. I don't know. I know that it's like, if you're not going to be a professional athlete, why does it matter? But, why does Harvard play sports? It's like, I liked that I went to two colleges. I actually won, as I've said before, I won the MVP at both colleges. On the track team, I only used 2 years of my eligibility. I won the MVP both times, but that was the track team. And I guess you could do track anywhere. Like, no one could stop you from doing track. But some sports, basketball, football, they're tough to make. Like, do you go to a school where you're going to root for guys who are competing for the national championship? Or do you go to school where you're going to be on the team? Well, first of all, you should probably pick your school based on grades and academics, and if they have your major and proximity to home and cost, and like, there's a lot of factors for picking your school. But to the extent that sports is a factor, yeah, I want to play. I don't want to be somebody else's fan. Like, I want to play the sport, That's how I feel anyway. You're welcome to think whatever you want, but that's how I feel. All right, we're going to put this together now. So, are these ends like is it the same on each end? I think it is, right? I don't think this looks any different on either end. All right, so I guess we just pick any end and we put on the pieces in order. So 197, 169, 206, 198. So let's do it. Might have to pinch these pieces together. So you got to pinch the ones that can be pinched. One of them's a solid piece of wood. The other pieces can be pinched. And then this, as I recall, is going to go through this. Like, it's not going to catch on anything. But here's the thing. There's a triangle on it. So you have to get the orientation of that triangle correct. I think that's correct. And now we put on the 206. And now this piece will stop when it gets to the 206. It's not going to go past that. All right. It's not going on. Got to squeeze these things. You would think it'd be... Oh, you know what? I think I have to spin it. I think we had this experience yesterday too, yeah. So it's not, the 206 goes on one way and not the other. And this piece now won't come off now that the 206 is on. We got our arrow going the correct way. If you can... Not arrow. We got our... it's kind of like an arrow, but it's an equilateral triangle. But anyway, it's going the right direction. All right, so... And now the gear goes on the end. That's the last piece. And then we do the other side. I'm trying to think of a story to tell while I collect the pieces for the other side. What else happened fun? So what was cool about that story was that wasn't my sport. I mean, my sport was track. And I scored in 3 events at the conference championship. But that story that I just told, that had nothing to do with anything. That's jumping in a hallway. Anybody could do that. You don't need to be on any sports team to do that. And the school I transferred to, I remember having experiences with baseball and basketball also not playing for a team. You know, basketball, either intramurals or just shooting around in the gym. And baseball, there was a friend, he was actually from my block on Staten Island, and he happened to play baseball at Siena. So, like the first week I'm there, you know, it's good weather. We're playing out on the grass. I think it was like on the front. They have these huge lawns, like right on Route 9. And there's nothing going on them. There's some trees, but they're not used for sports. The sports fields are all in the back. So we were playing. I was just like in the outfield catching balls that other people hit. But the thing is, I was catching them all. And my friend who was on the baseball team remarked that the way he described it is I get to everything. Meaning I was catching all the balls because I guess I reacted and I judged it and I ran to it and I caught it. Which doesn't seem like anything. I mean, I played, you know, I remember summers, you know, the first 5 summers of my life, I was piece 108. So to me, it's like nothing. But some guy who's playing on a college baseball team thinks I'm doing good. So that made me feel like proud. It didn't seem like anything to me. And I still don't think it's anything. I mean, if you've ever watched professional baseball or even any baseball, yeah, I mean, you hit something and you get to it. Or let's say professional baseball. I'll tell you why I say that. In professional baseball, the outfielders, they better get to every ball. You know, unless it's like hit so fast that they can't get there in time. But at the lower levels, there are guys who play baseball who aren't athletic because either they could pitch or they could hit, or, you know, they know the game very well. They know positioning on defense. There's a lot mental to the sport, and there's a lot that's like you can do while basically just standing around, like hitting, like Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was athletic, but if you think about Babe Ruth, I mean, he gained a lot of weight. And he still was like a valuable player. Like he wasn't really staying in shape. Yeah, I mean, I guess he was playing baseball every day. That was like something. Just look at pictures of Babe Ruth and tell me how athletic you think he looks. I mean, he probably has a lot of athleticism, but he didn't really maintain it, and it wasn't a problem. He's like the greatest baseball player ever. So you don't have to be like a super athlete. And he was an outfielder, by the way. So there probably were balls Babe Ruth didn't get to. You know, Joe DiMaggio probably got to everything. Mickey Mantle, I believe, had knee problems at some point. At that point, he probably didn't get to everything, but before that, he probably did. So, you know, I guess not every outfielder could get to everything, but really, you should. I mean, if you watch modern day baseball, you're not going to see a lot of balls that outfielders can't get to. You're going to see them track down everything as long as it's in the air. If it's a line drive in the gap, yeah, you're probably not going to get to that. But if it's in the air, Major League outfield is going to get to it. So to me, it's like, you know, I never considered that there was an option not to get to the ball. I mean, the guy hits it, you go get it, you know. But I guess at some levels, you know, not everybody can, you know. So if you can, you know, thank your lucky stars. Be happy. There's a lot of things that people can't do. There's, you know, for example, what I'm doing right now. I mean, this is a hobby that's popular with some people who have mobility issues because you're sitting in a chair putting a model together. You don't need to catch fly balls. You don't need to jump someone else. That's like, you know, like I shouldn't brag about that during a model assembly. I could talk about that if I'm doing a basketball video. People know what they're getting into. But for models, I probably should stick to the model. I don't know. So I guess I apologize for telling that story. I didn't mean anything bad, but I'm sorry if it brought up any bad thoughts for anyone. All right, so 197 is the first piece we're going to put on this side. Do we need to pinch these? I'll pinch them just in case. All right, 197's on. There's no triangles on this Green Lantern piece, so we'll just stick that on. 206, that's the one that we have to get the right direction. Which direction is right? I guess that. It went right on. And then the gear. Everything's sanded and waxed. We got our pieces here. Oh, sorry. Did I just do that whole thing off camera? Sorry. I switched to the camera. Let me just... I don't know why that camera is like... All right, that's better. Now that won't happen anymore. You know what? I didn't charge my devices today. My YOLO box is about to run out of battery, which means I probably also didn't charge my iPad. What percentage is that at? How do you check the percentage on your iPad? It's at 57, so iPads do pretty good on energy. I also didn't charge my phone. I didn't charge anything today. All right, let me just get my YOLO box plugged in here before it turns off. Yeah, we went to the park today. I mean, I had a day off from work. So we took the dog to the park. It was fun. Ran around. I walked around. Actually, you know what? The dog mostly walked too. She might have ran a couple times. All right. So where are we? Well, that's it, actually. I think we just finished this page. No, I think we have to put these two pieces somewhere. So, like, we built these two pieces. There's two boxes on page 16. Each of them is to build a piece. We built the two pieces. 1, 2. But now we need to do something with them. Or do we? I mean, they're showing this piece, but actually, they're not doing anything with it. Yeah, we're done with page 16. That's done. No, you go to the next page and it shows those pieces in there. Okay, so we're not done. Yeah, obviously. Okay. All right, I got it. Not that. Oh my goodness. Now I'm like stuck. All right. if we zoom in on this, you see those green lines? They go down to the bottom. So one piece goes like in the middle, and then the other one goes in front of it. I don't know why I'm acting like this is a mystery. Oh, by the way, my light also turned off. I don't know if it got any darker, the table. Not only did I not charge, I'm just going to turn on the light on the other side. The light on the left side of the table burned out because I didn't charge my YOLO box. I didn't charge my phone. I didn't charge my light. Nothing was charged. Anyway, I turned on the light. Now it's coming from the other side, but it's still some light. So this piece, it goes here. And then this piece, it goes with the short end sticking out, and the big end goes straddling. Do you see that? That like arrow? No, triangle. So there's a triangle here that's like pointed this way, and there's a triangle here that's pointed this way. So that's like, match those up. That's the idea there. All right, let's go here so you can see. Actually, you can't see because now the light is on the other side. Wow. Definitely should have charged that light. What I'm going to do, I'm going to plug that light in right now. So, all right. Just give me a second. Because I need the light on the left side because camera 3 is on the left side. I don't know why I have a light rigged up for the right side. I don't need light over there. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness. Am I doing it backwards? Why is it not going in? Yeah, I was doing it the wrong way. Okay, now it's in. And now it's on. All right, now I'm going to turn off the light on the other side because that was a stupid light. All right, so now you can see back here. So what did I want to show you? Basically, when these are in place, so this guy is in the bottom and this guy is in the, this beam here, then when you turn this, it turns that. It's not really staying in place at this moment. It needs the thing on top to keep it in place. But you can see like the idea of what's supposed to happen. Okay. I think it might happen better if I spin this. Yeah. If I spin this, you can see that move. I think it's actually going to work the other way, but, and then if you look from here, we now have these two pieces. I don't know where it's going with this. Maybe it's going to all connect to here. I don't know. I mean, it looks like something's going on. I think the next piece, it's going to be one piece here and one piece here. And then we're probably going to go on to another section. All right, so page 16 is done, finally. Page 17. Wait a minute, did I count all the pieces? I don't think I counted the right side, so let's just put that up to 286. At the end, we'll see if we get to 978 or some other number. If it's not 978, then we counted too many pieces or too few. All right, so page 17 we're on now. And we need, I think, 4 pieces, right? 247, 204, 199, and 211. And those are going to go exactly where we were just looking at. They're going to like tighten up those pieces. And look what's coming up soon. Something. I'm not sure exactly how to describe that, but something's going to happen. All right, so 199, 211, 247, and 204. So that's another 4 pieces. We're at 290 pieces. Yeah, I feel like I want to get to 200 pieces, 300 pieces. I don't know if we will, but that would be nice. So 204. there's 204. It's right there. All right, 204. And by the way, 199 is also right here. 199. All right, so 204, 247, 211. 211's also here. So everything but the 247 is on board 5. All right, now we need the 247, which we already popped one out today. We just got to remember what board that came from. I see it. It's the bottom board. Whatever's the bottom board here. Board 7. 247. There it is. Let's grab that piece. Remember, we're ready to build this right side, and it's going to match the left side. Well, right side looking from the back, left side looking from the front. We got to sand these pieces down. They're not going to work until we do that. Well, they might seem to work, but they could cause problems later, especially with these guys. There's a lot of splinters. All right. So take 204. This doesn't look right. The way they're showing 204, this cut pattern, if you look at the instructions, they're showing that on the top, but the only way for that to be on the top is for it to be on that side, and it's not on that side. The cutouts are not on that side. Well, I don't know why it's showing that, but it obviously needs to go on this side. So we're going to do that. The big piece is going to be 199. Oh, again off camera. I'm like really bad with getting that close up. Basically, anytime I go to close-up camera, I need to look at the monitor and make sure that I'm actually on camera. I think that's why they have marks in Hollywood, so people hit their marks. All right, so there's 204 and 247, and then it's going to be 211. So these two are going to go into here, and then this is going to go on the top. So where do they go in? The 211 goes in where? Oh, this piece just fell out. I mean, it's going to keep falling out. I think it goes here, and then this guy goes here. Yeah, that's the plan. So the single gets the 211. And then these two dots here. 1, 2. They're going to get the piece that we built with the 204 and the 247. Feels like it's like catching. Oh, it went in. Felt like it was catching on something, but it went in. All right, now the 199 is going to go on top of here. Let's take a moment to make sure we have the orientation of the 109 correct. So there's a little triangle on it, so that can be a guide. All right. Obviously, the circle is going to go around that piece. These two pieces on the sides of the triangle, I believe they're going to go on this like tower piece because if you look on the other side, the triangle is in the middle of that tower. And if you recall, that tower has a triangle on it, and there's also a triangle at its feet. So this is basically how it's going to go. Now we got to get everything to line up, which is probably the toughest part. It was the toughest part in yesterday's build. It's going to be the toughest part tonight. You can't push it on until absolutely everything is lined up, because if things are on the wrong side, you're going to end up, if you push it on and it's on the wrong side, you're going to have to take it off to get it lined up. So it's going to be annoying. I'm just trying to get everything lined up, and I'm failing at getting everything lined up. And I'm getting stabbed by splinters while I'm doing this, which is not fun. Alright, something started to go, but again, we can't push things together until we know that everything is online. Otherwise, we're going to end up with having to redo it. Wow. Okay. This is like... Did this go easier on the other side? I don't recall. I feel like it must have. Because it's going... nothing is happening on this side. Nothing is going in. Wow. I feel like maybe some of these... I'm going to try something. The ones that hook... Like, some of them go completely in, and some of them go from the outside in. So the ones that go from the outside in, I think I'm going to not worry about those ones. And I'm only going to worry about, for now, the ones that need to go through the middle. So the ones from the outside, we're going to push those back in at the end, because they'll still be accessible at the end. But the ones that go through, we got to get those on the first attempt. But trying to get these other ones that go to the outside, they're just going to get in the way. So let's pull those right out of the way right from the start. Alright, let's see how it's doing on this side. It's not doing very well, and I'm again getting stabbed by splinters. Okay. Looks good. Actually, it doesn't look that good. This guy is not reaching where he needs to be. Why? Why is it so far away? It's lined up at the bottom. Oh, okay. Because this gear is pushing it out. We need to get the gear lined up. There we go. Now it'll go in. All right. Oh no. Okay. Am I screwing any of these up? This one that was like too far out is now too far in. And this one's just off. Just completely off. Come on. Is that going to go in? I can't tell. Trying to find an angle from which I can see if the pins are lined up or not. There we go. Come on. It's like this one is the only one that's not going in. Why? Oh, there we go. Now it's going in. Now I could push those outside ones back in. All right. Did we get this? Let's see if this works. Yeah. Oh, you had a bad camera angle. Sorry. Anyway, it's spinning now. It's spinning. Sorry, I got too involved in the model and I wasn't paying attention to the camera angles, but 199 is on. So that's nice. That's good. Let's see what's next. Wow. Look at all these splinters. Why? Why does this puzzle create so many splinters? All right. Let's calm down. Get a look here at the instructions. You know, I don't have a camera that shows me in the instructions. I could show you like me and the puzzle, but I wanted to show you me in the instructions, but I don't have it set up to do that. Anyway, I'll just narrate as we look together at the instructions. So we did these first 4 pieces. It looks like it should be more than 4, but it's only 4 pieces. And then there's a check. So I think we passed that check. I mean, I think it looks like what they have. All right. So, and then there's an arrow coming from the check, which goes here. And this is the thing we were looking at before. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I think we're going to combine the 2 pieces that we have, but I don't really know like how we're going to do that. Like, can you tell? What are they trying to do here? Oh, okay. No, I have no freaking clue what they're doing. Like, why are they showing those things in green? Anyway, these 2 pieces, it shows 4 green lines, like dashed green lines. So supposedly we're just going to like mash these 2 sections together and there's going to be 4 connectors. What they're saying about this is I think like get them up and out of the way. I think that's why they're showing them in green, like get them up and out of the way. I think that's it. This one's not lined up because I was just playing with the other side. All right, so we got to get this side lined up again. I think that's lined up. All right, so now we have to, I don't know, push these 2 things together. I mean, that's what the instructions say. Like, push these 2 things together. It's like an iceberg coming together or something. But these are like in the way. Like, how are we going to get them out of the way? Like this? All right, that worked. So now they're together. They're not totally together. I think this piece, All right. I don't know if one of these. All right, we're in luck. It did happen to show up on the close-up camera. If it hadn't, I don't know if I could have made it for you, but let me just show you. So, see this slot here? This pin needs to go in there. And it's the same thing on the other side, this slot and this pin. And apparently there's 2 more pins at the bottom, but we can't see those. So we're just going to do the top ones and assume that the bottom ones line up, because the top ones line up. If you get the 2 top ones at once, the 2 bottom presumably line up. And then once we think they're on, we'll just flip it over and take a look. All right. Having no luck. So anyway, when I went to Marist, just to get back to that story, a recent graduate was Rick Smits. Do you know who that is? He was like he's an NBA Hall of Famer. He had graduated like right before I got there. He was a 7'4" player from, I think, Netherlands. And when I was there, they had another 7 foot, like they had another player who was 7'4", and he was like in like the program for the team or the marketing or whatever. It was like he's 7'4" and from the same like hometown as Rick Smits. But this guy was terrible. I shouldn't say that. I mean, he was a nice kid. I think he was. Basically, he wasn't very good, despite being 7'4". He would just play like in blowouts. He would like come in and play 1 minute. I just happened to hit the musical box by accident. I'm not having any luck putting these together. I see where these gears are going to go. They're going to attach to this gear. That's kind of cool. I feel like maybe we should attach these, but they're not asking us to. But I feel like I wish they would. That might help us get these together. Am I perhaps wrong about this piece going in there? Maybe that's never going to happen. Maybe I should be doing something, trying to get something else to happen. Yeah, I think maybe that's never going to happen. And I think it's maybe just get the whole wall in there. Yeah, that's it. There's notches on the top and bottom. All right, so I gave bad information before. So this piece does not go in there. Or maybe it does, but my current thinking is that little notch there, that's what lines up with this. Really, though, I'm lost at this point, and I'm just hoping that I can squeeze this thing together. This is like, these are in the way. They're preventing me from getting access to even make the connection that they want us to make right now. I feel like I need someone to call someone in the room and like hold these 2 pieces up while I push the rest together. Wow, it really doesn't go together, even though it's supposed to. Actually, one side just went together, but there's nothing like keeping it together. Oh, that's it. It's together. All right, so it's possibly... Oh, again, I was giving you a bad camera angle. Okay, I think we got it together right now. But it's going to come apart. All right, it's together, but there's nothing holding it together. So we need to keep building until we get something to hold this together. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart, and we're going to have to put it back again together tomorrow. All right, so we got to move on to page 18 and hope that the next instruction is going to lock these together. All right, the next instruction is going to do 2 things that we were talking about. it's these are going to get connected to this wheel. So like these two gears, which are these two, they're going to get connected to this. And once we put these pins in, it's going to connect the two sides. So remember, we were hoping that they would connect those gears. That's absolutely the next thing. So let's take a minute to study how this is going to work. All right, so those gears are going to go together. And they're showing a picture here. I don't know what that picture is trying to say. I can't tell anything from that picture. I'll tell you what, though. I think if we just like take a look, we probably can see where this is supposed to go. It's like jammed at the moment. Yeah, there's one pin at the bottom there. So there's one pin, and I don't know if you could see it, but there's one slot. So we just drop the pin in the slot. I mean, this must be what happens next. It must be. You even can kind of see the gear moving. That's in. One of them is in. So now let's do the other side. So you got to get this all the way onto this circle. You remember these circles? So you got to get it all the way on the circle. Got to line up the gear, and you got to drop the pin. And then the great news is that these two halves will be together once you do that. And not only that, the gears will all be like connected. They should be anyway. We'll test them. Come on, get in there. It's in. All right, so. All right, let's see what happens now. If we. We can no longer get to the gear unless we turn this. So if we turn this, is the music going to play? No, nothing's happening. All right. But if we turn these, okay, if you turn those, they will. Not sure which way they're supposed to turn, but they do kind of turn. If you remember, there was like two wheels in there. Oh, this started coming undone. Do we need to like crank that? Oh, it comes undone. Oh, what's going on? Why is that not? Well, I'm not going to obsess over these gears right now because they haven't asked us to, but I just want to show you that it's all one piece now. In fact, I think this is the time to stop for the night because we love when we get it to the point where like all of our 290 pieces are now connected. There's one piece right now. And we love to stop broadcast when we've got it back to one piece. But with that said, I think I have to finish this page because look what happens next. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. What is going on here? Is this what we've already built or is this something new? This is what we've already built and it's going to get attached by adding two 59s to the bottom. Two pieces called 59. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to finish this page before we sign off. So we're going to need board 2. So board 2, we didn't pick out board 2 yet today, but we need it because these two 59s are going in the bottom. And I assume that's going to help with the stability of this whole thing that we've been building. So let's do that before we sign off. All right. Is this board 2? Yeah, this is board 2. Looks like we only took one piece off of board 2, and then this dragon piece fell off like accidentally. Anyway, these two pieces are basically staples. They call them 59. So we're going to go from 290 to 292. We're going to add the two 59s. If I can find them. Oh, we also took 55s and 56s from this board. So we have taken some pieces from this board. Like 6 56s, 4 55s, and a 50. So we've taken 11 pieces from the board. Oh, no. 13 pieces. 2 more 56s. Is 56 that thing that holds the banner in place? Probably. Alright, there's 59. It's basically a staple. So we're going to grab two 59s. We're going to stick them in the bottom, and then we're going to sign out for the night. Alright. Where do these go? It's kind of like awkward. I'm not even sure like what I'm looking at here. Like theirs looks like, I think they have theirs orientated this way. Yeah, now ours looks like theirs. I don't know if that's going to help us at all, but now we're holding it the same way. There we go. So there's one staple, there's the other staple. So it's going to hold these two like together, the top and bottom. So that's good. We need that. It's not going in. Well, it went into one side, but not the other. We need to get it really like lined up. All right. One side is in. One of the staples is in. Let's get the other one in. So we're just stapling the two halves together. Oh my goodness. I feel pieces moving. That's not good. Oh, okay, good. They were like axle pieces that are meant to spin. I was worried that I was moving pieces that weren't meant to move. Okay. I don't know how to get you this angle. I'm putting a staple on the bottom there. Oh my goodness. It's easier said than done. I think I chipped this piece. Let's try again. There we go. Okay. So we stapled the bottom together. So now it's all one piece. And the great news is that was a page. So now we're up to page 19. Those two staples equal to page. These are still in. You want to try the crank again, see if anything happens? Nope, nothing's happening. I think it's getting a little tighter, frankly. But nothing else is spinning. I'm tempted to spin the musical thing like manually and just see what else moves when I do that. But I don't know if that's going to break anything. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. A lot of other stuff moves when you do that, including this piece, which makes me wonder why when we move this piece it doesn't play the music. It seems to just crank that spring. When we turn this piece, it makes that spring tighter, but when we turn this piece, it plays the music. So I'm not sure what's going on. And by the way, I busted this piece by doing that. I busted both sides doing that. So I think we shouldn't do that until we get the second level built because it'll lock these pieces in and then they won't break anymore. So we're going to stop here for tonight. I'm John Rapp. This is Just Rest Your Eyes. Good night and see you tomorrow.